Thank you, Brendan. Now, new this morning, March is Endometriosis Awareness Month. It's a disease that affects millions of women worldwide.
In Northern News Now's Hannah Morgan sat down with a doctor and a patient to see why awareness is so important here in the Northland and beyond, and kind of share their story with folks at home.
Yeah, that's right. Good morning, guys. So endometriosis is a condition where the cells that are normally found in the uterine lining leave the uterus and implants in other parts of the abdomen and pelvis. And specialists say varying symptoms and still emerging science can make it difficult to detect. We meet one Northlander who shares her experience living with the disease.
For 7 years, Sydney Barnett searched for answers about why she was in pain.
So what did that feel like, never getting an answer for 7 years?
Very disheartening and very invalidating and frustrating, because it's like I knew something was wrong.
For years, she says the pain was brushed off. Sydney suffered from abdominal pain, heavy menstrual cycles, fatigue, and bloating. And finally, she was diagnosed with endometriosis, a complex disease that affects around 190 million reproductive age women globally, according to the World Health Organization.
Endometriosis is really tricky. The symptoms of endometriosis can be incredibly variable. And in addition to that, our imaging studies aren't the best at detecting it.
Dr. Abby Lombardi is Sydney's OB/GYN who helped diagnose her. Dr. Lombardi says up to 50% of patients have no symptoms at all. But there are some symptoms women can watch out for. Heavier, painful periods that don't respond to over-the-counter pain medicine or birth control. A family history of painful, heavy periods, as endometriosis can run in families. Unexplained infertility, painful urination and bowel movements, as well as painful intercourse. Sydney remembers when she finally got an answer.
Oh, I cried immediately of like tears of validation.
And Dr. Lombardi wants to empower women to speak openly about their symptoms with their doctor.
One of the reasons I became an OB/GYN is to be an advocate for women